Today we're going to be talking about the best fabrics to be using in summer, and we're also going to talk about how sustainable each of these fabrics are. So if this is your jam and you would like to stay as cool as a cucumber this summer, then stay tuned till the end of this video. Hi guys, it's Simran. So when we talk about fabrics in summer, there are two main attributes you want to be looking out for. One is breathability and the other one is absorbency. So breathability means that you are going to keep cool because the fabric allows air circulation and it allows your body heat to escape. Absorbency means that when you do sweat, your moisture is going to get wicked away immediately and absorbed by the fabric, keeping you dry underneath. So the two fabrics that come to my mind in summer are cotton and linen. These are sort of the common stalwarts for centuries. It's always cotton and linen in summer. You have some capsules which always have cotton and linen pieces, and for good reason. So both of these are natural fibers. Cotton comes from the cotton plant and linen comes from the flax plant. They are both breathable and highly absorbent fabrics. Cotton's highly versatile. It can be woven in different ways to make it as lightweight or heavier, such as denim. Denim's a type of cotton that's been woven in a heavy weight. Because cotton absorbs moisture so well, I would advise that you stick to light colored fabrics. The other thing about cotton is a very thirsty plant. So in its production methods, a lot of irrigation, a lot of water is used to grow the cotton plant. Cotton uses a lot of fertilizers and pesticides to grow the crop. Organic cotton is becoming a lot more common these days as more people are aware of the benefits. Organic cotton is produced without fertilizers and pesticides, uses 60% less energy than normal cotton, conventional cotton, and it uses nearly 90% less water than normal cotton does. So if you can, try and look for organic cotton when you are purchasing your next cotton item. Linen is a loosely woven fabric, which makes it very breathable, and it's got even better moisture wicking capabilities than cotton has. However, linen, unlike cotton, it absorbs the moisture, but it dries really quickly. So linen is absolutely fantastic for summer. I absolutely love linen. The only thing with linen is it tends to crease very easily. And linen, because of a more rough texture, it lends itself to a more natural aesthetic. This might not be everyone's cup of tea. I personally love linen and I love that natural look. If wrinkling is something you're concerned about, then try and look for a linen blend. So you do get linen blended with Lyocell, which I'll talk about later. And this actually makes linen a lot less prone to wrinkling. The good thing about linen as well is that it uses very minimal pesticides and fertilizers and requires very little water. So it's a good sustainable fabric to be incorporating into your wardrobe. So the next natural fabric is silk. Silk is a luxury fabric and it's usually more expensive. It's got a beautiful sheen and a drape and a softness to it, and it's very lightweight. It is breathable and it does regulate your body temperature, so it keeps you relatively cool. Silk is not as absorbent as cotton or linen is. Because of this, I would recommend silk to be used in the hot summer months, probably at night, or if you're going to be in an air-conditioned environment, simply because you might get sweat stains while wearing silk. Because although it is a natural fabric, it is an animal byproduct. It's spun by silkworms, so it's a non-vegan fabric. So if that is something you're concerned about, then silk is best to be avoided. How sustainable silk is depends very much on the source manufacturers and the company and the practices which they use. So I would suggest, if you are purchasing silk, to really try and look into the company you're purchasing from and see how transparent they are with the production process. So there you have it. Another thing that's come into the market is pea silk. So I won't really be talking about pea silk here, but it's also produced by silkworms, but the cocoon is left behind as the moth escapes, which means that the worm itself is not boiled in the process of making silk. This is referred to as pea silk or Ahimsa, and usually comes from India in the Assam region. So that's something you might want to check out. All right, so now we move on to semi-synthetic fabrics, which are commonly used in summer clothing. A very common semi-synthetic fabric that's used is rayon. Rayon is also known as viscose. Most commonly in Europe, it's called viscose. So viscose is also known as artificial silk. And the reason is it was created as an alternative to silk, and it looks like silk, but it feels like cotton. So this is a little bit of a tricky one when it comes to sustainability, because rayon or viscose comes from wood pulp or cellulose, which comes from beech, pine, or bamboo trees. So the raw material used to construct this fabric is natural. However, rayon goes through such a chemical intensive process. Toxic flammable chemicals such as sulfuric acid, caustic soda, which is also known as sodium hydroxide, and carbon disulfide are used in the process. This alters the chemical structure of the fibers. What happens is, so a lot of these chemicals actually end up back in the environment. The production process of rayon is so toxic that it's not actually produced in the US because the EPA regulates it as too toxic for the environment. So unfortunately, it's manufactured in countries such as India, China, Pakistan, and Indonesia. So rayon or viscose, although it's a breathable, lightweight fabric that is moisture wicking as well, it does use a lot of chemicals, and I would advise you to stay away from viscose or rayon fabric. However, for some good news, there are some sustainable rayon fabrics, and these are referred to as Lyocell and Modal. You may be familiar with the name Tencel. So Tencel is basically a brand name, and the company which creates or makes this brand is called Lenzing. Lenzing is an Austrian manufacturer, and they produce the Tencel brand, which covers Lyocell and Modal fabrics. What they do is, the reason these fabrics are sustainable is because Lenzing sustainably harvests the beech trees and the eucalyptus trees that are used for their Modal and Lyocell fabrics. They use a slightly different production method, which means that the chemical structure of the fibers are not altered as significantly as viscose. And this means that a lot less chemicals are involved in the process. On top of this, Lenzing is sustainable because it uses a closed loop production process, which means that the chemicals that are used, instead of being discarded into the environment, they are basically recaptured and reused in the production cycle. So they end up being used multiple times. So this is a good thing for the environment. And this is why Lyocell and Modal, specifically from the Tencel brand name of Lenzing, are actually classed as sustainable fabrics. But a lot of the time they can be confused with viscose, which is also a type of rayon. So I hope this was kind of informative for you to differentiate between the different types of rayon out there and realize which ones are actually sustainable. The fantastic thing about Lyocell and Modal is that they are wrinkle resistant, they are very durable. So for example, they hold their color a lot better than viscose or rayon does. It tends to fade away quite quickly. They're also hypoallergenic, and of course for summer weather, they are breathable and they have natural moisture wicking properties. So if you're in the market to purchase some new clothes for the summer, then I would highly recommend, in addition to the natural fibers of cotton and linen, to also look for Lyocell. So synthetic fabrics are completely manufactured in factories using chemicals. They're not made using natural materials such as wood pulp, cellulose, or they do not come from a plant. So common synthetic fabrics are polyester, nylon, polyamide. Making polyester, for example, is very cheap. It's often mass produced, and you would see a lot of cheap polyester clothing out there. They're not breathable and they're not absorbent. In fact, they're water resistant. This makes polyester a huge no-no in summer. The moisture is just going to accumulate and you're going to have pools of sweat, and it's not breathable, so it's actually going to make you feel hotter instead of cooling you down. So synthetic fabrics are not the best to be used in summer. However, they are intensively used in activewear, and the reason is because activewear is usually perforated, they put holes in and stuff, so it creates like an artificial breathability element which cools you down. These synthetic fabrics don't absorb sweat, so you don't actually get sweat stains. So you might be really sweaty underneath, but it doesn't actually show on the outside, which is why these fabrics are very popular for activewear and even swimsuits, for example. So I would suggest, if you are going to be using these fabrics, try and look for a recycled component. So for example, I have this rashi here, which has used recycled polyamide from discarded fishing nets to create this rashi for swimming. So I think that's a fantastic idea. If you are looking for activewear swimsuits, try and look for brands which use recycled polyester, polyamide from plastic bottles or fishing nets, for example, because these materials take a very long time to break down in the natural environment. They are they're non-biodegradable. So if you can reuse them and prevent them just ending up in landfill, then I would highly suggest you try and go down that route. But if you do have synthetic fibers, or if you have viscose in your wardrobe, please don't feel the need to declutter them. At the end of it, sustainability is about using what you already have as much as you possibly can to the end of its life. So the garment has actually fully served its purpose. And I hope this video means that when you're actually shopping in the future for new items, you are a bit more aware of the fabrics and you understand how sustainable or non-sustainable they are. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a lovely day. See you next time. Bye.